I'd like to show you a little tip, because every now and then you'll come across a situation like in this shower room where you've got so many different apertures to cut out, and you want to make sure you get it right, and you get it right first time. And you can do it with a tape measure, and you can measure everything, transfer it, but there is a much easier way, and it doesn't actually involve a tape measure. So to achieve the accuracy of where everything goes, all I use is a couple of bits of timber. So like a little timber rod, it can be an offcut or anything, absolutely anything. And I'm going to take you into one of the other bathrooms and show you exactly how I do that and what I'm talking about, just to make it a little bit easier. So this is a little bit of a hack for you. All we need to do is, I've got a couple of timbers here, one's height and one is width. So I've got to cut out for the flush, I've got to cut out for a wall spout and a thermostatic mixer, obviously the basin waste, and then you've got your toilet parts as well. So I have a simple piece of timber for the width and a simple piece of timber for the height. Now, I know I've got a square corner here because I've used a board edge, a board edge and a board edge there. So when I measured this panel in, it's just a simple measurement, cut that in, very simple. Now, all I'm going to do is I can do two things. I've got my laser set up on the center of these items here, and I can transfer a mark to here, and that's the center of that. That's my first mark. Then I'll also do, for the sheer hell of it, the side of this cutout here, right there. And the other side, here. I'll hatch that so I know what that is. Get over to here, whack these ones in. You can see we're in the center of the pipe and the center of the outlet there. Another mark there with a center. And finally this one. Perfect. So simple matter of taking my rod, marking it off, and my center mark there, which is important to me, and my center mark here, and here. So we set that to one side. Just for my reference, I'm going to put an arrow so that's up, and that is against. There we go. Same on the height now. The height's slightly different. I don't really use a laser for this. I've got a board edge here. So I will start by an arrow. I know that's the top of the board. And this is really straightforward. Whip this out of the way for these items. I'm using a slightly oversized hole so I can sight the centers of these up, no problem. I haven't got to be too accurate. I want to make sure I've got a little bit of breathing space. And now that's the center of the flush. I say that's the flush pipe. And this is the soil. And this here, bang, is the button, say. So on this side I did these marks, and I'm just flipping it round. And I'm going to do the taps and the waste on this side, and I'll put the waste there, and that's it. So now I'll transfer this onto the board. This is the piece of board which is going in. This is where it joins adjacent to the bath, and that is also the board join that's immediately over the top. That's a board end. I know it's going to be true because that's also a board side and top there. So simply now transfer the center line here down towards the bottom. And that's that. I'm going to use the height rod now, and I'm going to mark everything off. Here and here. And this is actually going to be for the flush button. Make that a little bit bigger. Get my width rod. It's hard to see the pencil marks. I've tried marker pens, they're a little bit better. But in the right daylight, you can actually see them okay. So that's it. Let's get the pipes marked now. always keep your hands behind the cutting edge. I mean, this Elements board is a game changer because we would have always used either early doors, it would have been plasterboard standard, then green plasterboard came out, and then what else did we use? Hardy backer type boards. Aqua panel, and they're all great. Well, apart from plasterboard, obviously we steer clear of that. I mean, if you did this in plasterboard, I know this is quite soft material, but take this for example, that distance there, the chances are that's going to give, I mean, anyone watching this might say, well, you've got a back to wall pan, you can just cut a square for that. But I'm just a believer in, you know, making it a little bit neater. And when the tiler comes along, he can stick anywhere, you know, he hasn't got to mess around hoping for the best. Here we go, it's the moment of truth. Now I've actually done this a little bit quickly, and you can see it's quite hard to mark, so maybe a bit out. And I've also got to try and lip it behind the corner of the bath. I don't want to cut a bit out and then work it round over these outlets here. I'll just check there's stud works nice and flush and true. Got these two items here, we have got to take it back out because I'm going to mark these studs. So, let me see. Let's see. Right, okay. Let's try and get that pipe over it, yeah. Oh, that looks pretty damn good. Push there to mark the studs. That's it. So there we have it. I mean, how simple and how tight, and everything is where it should be. We can put the drain filler back in, and so all I have to do is just mark. I've punched these studs in now, which are what supports the pan, drill them through, wind them out, put some glue on, put it back, and then fix it home. And then we actually have a snowman now, look. It's kind of like an artistic snowman. So I do like the whole board to be supported, especially here. And when the tiler comes along, what I want him to do is keep as tight to these and as neat to these as possible, because I don't want a great big void behind there, because the pan needs that support. So really, it's quite critical really. And you know, I mean, in this case, we're using marble in here, and it's actually quite soft. It's not as soft as limestone, but you can quite easily cut it. It's unlike porcelain where you've got to grind them out with a diamond wheel or something like that. This is quite straightforward. So that's it, we're going to screw this board in now. Another bathroom nearly finished. The only thing I'll say about these fixings is that if you're not lucky, if you're unlucky, say here we have a bath shower screen going in, draw the tile, you might catch one of these. So I suppose if you are really prudent, you might get your bath shower screen out and see if there's any fixing points and avoid them. But these are zinc, these washers, so they will drill, but not with a masonry bit. If you've gone through the marble with a tile drill, you might need to get a little sort of like HSS bit then. But what I do like about these is the fact that they'll cope with the joints instead of going there and there, because we generally only have a stud which is 44mm thick, or CLS, which is even less, 38. Just a quick thank you to everybody who's subscribed to me recently. It's really nice, and you come over from Skill Builder, and also the Instagram as well. People contact me through Instagram, and I really like that as well, ask me my advice, and also I ask people their advice as well, because there's a lot of stuff out there I don't know. So everyone who we've had dialogue with over the past few months, thanks very much, and I also like the banter.